Greetings, fellow Americans. Today, we are going to be making political pies for this year's election. This is your reminder to cast your vote by November 3rd. We have our strawberry Republican pie, our blueberry Democratic pie, so whichever party you are, you can get your freak on with these pies. Now, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you get notified every time I release another video. Let's get started. This recipe will be linked down below. But first, I just have a bowl of blueberries and I'm just dusting them in some sugar for a little sweetness. And then we're going to take our cornstarch and we're gonna dust them in cornstarch. This cornstarch will help thicken it. That way, when we bake it, the blueberries will start to ooze and we'll get this nice, thick, oozing liquid. You know, what you want to cut into a pie and see. And then we're going to add a little bit of lemon to give it a little more twang. Now yes, blueberries have twang. If you have eaten any that are not ripe, you know they have twang. But we want to be a little more extra, you know? We want to give it a little more twang. I want to be very transparent with y'all. I have never made a pie in my life, okay? Never. This is my first time. I actually made my first pie on camera for y'all. Because here's the thing, if it was gonna go wrong, I'd make you watch some like pumpkin cupcakes and we'd be done for the day. But I never made my first pie at all. I haven't even touched a pie. I didn't even know how to make a pie. I made it that day. That day I decided to make pies. So I made 3 pies in one day and they were all my first pies. So if I can do it, you can do it. Pies are actually really simple. I just want to clarify that I am not wearing a political shirt for any of the candidates, as known as Biden or Donald Trump. I am sporting a wonderful Rick Astley for President shirt because he's never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you. Honestly, I would totally vote for him. And that's why I am not allowed to vote. That and because I'm not 18. So here I have some dough and we are going to take this and make our lattice. Now I will link the dough recipe down below. Now what a lattice is it's the top part of the pie. I just called it the thing that you cover it, but my dad said I was wrong. The lattice is the top part of the pie, which I didn't know before, which is very interesting. And it's kind of fun to say, lattice, lattice. Anyways, we're going to roll out our dough and we want to make sure that it's decently thin. So about like 1/8 of an inch. You know, a good thickness. So, for people who don't know about the thickness of a pea, that would be good. And we're gonna try and roll this out in like a circular kind of shape, best we can. It's not gonna be a perfect circle, but that's okay. We're gonna fix that. After you roll it out and it starts coming apart, you just wanna pinch those areas together because otherwise it will get a worse crack and it'll crack all apart, and we don't want that. So we wanna keep it together. That way it's at least one kind of firm shape. So if that just happens, you just want to pinch, 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 pinch. So I found this thing that is supposed to help you cut out like a Valentine's Day lattice. So I just took it and flipped it on the other side. That way I could cut a nice flat circle. And I'm using this for the shape. You could use anything. I'll try and link something that's similar to this. That way you have something. But just find anything that could fit about the shape of your pan. Because you want it to go over your crust and have a little bit more length. That way you can crimp it later. I'll explain that. I know, more fancy terms. It's okay, I'm here to help you understand. So I just printed the symbols off of online. You can do that too, and I just have the Democratic symbol, which is the donkey, remember? And we are just going to cut that out. So I'm just trying to center it as fast as possible, and then I'm just gonna take a knife and I'm gonna carefully cut it out. Okay, so children, you need help with this. And then after we cut out our donkey, you can just take that center part out because we still want the circle. That's what we're trying to go for. And then once you take it out, it's okay if it has rough edges. You just kind of want to smooth it out and form it a little bit with your hands. As long as it looks somewhat like a donkey, we're fine. Now we want to attach the lattice. So I'm struggling here to find out a way. I tried to roll it on my rolling pin. Don't do that. I just decided at the end to just quickly pick it up and put it on top of the pie. So as long as you still have the shape, you just have to, you know, move your lattice around just a little bit. That way it stays that shape and it's not overstretched. Once you have your lattice on, you might want to reposition some berries. That way your lattice doesn't sink as much. Or if you want more blueberries where they can see the donkey. Crimping is pretty simple. So crimping, you're just taking your thumb and your index finger and you're pinching to get these like ruffles or these waves. They kind of look like ruffles or waves. And you are pinching your crust together. That way it's nice and sealed. After you complete crimping, you want to take this and you want to put it in the fridge for a little bit to harden up for about like an hour. Next, we're going to start making our Republican strawberry pie. So what you're gonna do is we're gonna take the water and we're gonna combine that with the lemon juice and the cornstarch. Now remember, the cornstarch is supposed to help thicken it up and make them strawberries nice and oozy. That's a good pie. First, you wanna combine your water, your lemon juice, and of course, your cornstarch. Now remember, this cornstarch will help thicken it up and make that strawberry pie just delicious. Now you just want to mix this until it kind of looks like milk. And you want to set this aside and we'll get started with our strawberries. We have this big bowl of strawberries, but we're only going to use half because one half goes onto the stove and the other half we pack into our pie crust. So you just want to put half of them into our pan, and then we're going to combine that with the sugar. And this is going to go over the stove to make a nice, delicious, like syrup consistency. That way we can make that pie even more. Mwah! Wait! Did I tell you to put it on the stove? Just kidding. We are not gonna put this on the stove yet. We wanna mash these strawberries, make sure they're nice and mushy, and that way they can just start getting rid of those juices over the stove and they'll just start coming out like, You want the juice. Now you should put your pan on low heat and whisk every once in a while. I say should because I don't want to be a hypocrite, okay? Because I could not wait for this to take forever. I was already waiting for it for 20 minutes, but your girl has stuff to do and it was taking forever. I don't have time for forever. You don't have time for forever. We have lives. We have jobs. We go to school. We don't have time for this. So I just turned mine up to medium heat. And I was watching it constantly. If you're gonna do this, you do need to watch it constantly because this easily burns. And once you burn it, you gotta scratch it, honey, with anything. So you just wanna stand there, whisk more constantly than you would on low heat. And once it starts getting that bubbling consistency and it starts to like bubble a little bit and it's getting thicker and your strawberries are getting this darker kind of shade, that's when you wanna start turning it down to low heat. And you wanna whisk occasionally until you get this nice, thick liquid. And once it looks like this, you want to take it off the stove. It's time to pack your crust with the strawberries that you kept in the bowl. It's the other half, and you want to nicely pack these to make sure they fill like the entire pan, okay? And you can put some fresh ones if you want in the mixture, but you want to make sure that it's packed nicely and that there aren't too many gaps or anything, because that will affect our lattice, which is, yes, the top of the pie crust. I am so proud of you. You're doing great. Next, we're going to take our strawberries that we heated over the stove and we're going to combine it with that liquid mixture that was made of water, lemon juice, and cornstarch. So we're going to whisk this together until it's nicely combined. Boys and girls, it is time to combine the best of two worlds. We are going to combine our pie crust with our strawberries and our strawberry liquid mixture. So you just want to pour this strawberry mixture that we made over the stove on top of our pie crust, okay? And you just kind of want to smooth it out. Make sure it's smoother than a fresh start skippy. I'm too hot. Sorry, I will keep the singing to a minimum. I will try. No promises. But I can promise you this. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you. It's time for us to make Lattice Part 2 in time-lapse. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you cover your rolling pin and your dough in flour. Don't forget that. And you also want to make sure you roll it out in what kind of shape? A circle, correct. And then after you do that, if you have any cracked edges, you want to pinch them together, because if you don't, it only gets worse. You're doing great on this quiz. Bravo, bravo. Anyways, so we're going to take a circular object that we have, and then we're going to trace it. It is the same size as our pie or our pie crust. Then we have our perfect circular lattice. You want to take your image for the Republican Party, which is the elephant, and you want to cut this out. Make sure it's nice and centered, and you're just going to place it in the middle and cut it out best you can. And you can actually take the elephant out because we don't want that. Remember, we want the outside, what we traced. Remember, when you crimp, you want to pinch it with your thumb and your index finger, and you want to have that wavy look. After we finish crimping, you want to put this in the fridge for about an hour. Afterwards, if you want your pie to have this nice golden brown look, then you can egg wash it. So egg washing, all you need is just an egg yolk and about a tablespoon of heavy whipping cream. And you just want to brush this onto your pie, okay? And we even want to make sure we get the edges of where we cut out our donkey or our elephant. Those little cracks and areas, we want to make sure that we cover the entire thing. Even the crimping that we did, we want to make sure the whole top looks nice and golden brown and it is evenly coated. Best to our ability. After you finish egg washing, you're going to take this and you can put it in the oven for about 45 minutes and you will have a magnificent pie. Now, here's a tip, but if you want to make sure that your lattice doesn't overcook, because we did crimp the edges and that is a little higher, you might want to cover the top with a little bit of foil for about half of the baking and then take it off, and that way that nice golden brown will show up, but it won't be burnt to a crisp. And here are our finished political pies. We have our Republican pie and our Democratic pie. Don't they look beautiful? And I can tell you one thing, they're just as tasty. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to give it a like if you loved it, and maybe leave a comment down below. Tell me what you thought, or if you have any other ideas for upcoming videos for me, or even if you made these pies, tell me what you thought. I love hearing from y'all. Thank you so much. See you next month. Don't forget to cast your vote this November 3rd. If you're not old enough to vote, like me, help someone else go to vote. Babysit their kids maybe, or just let them go to vote, and that way we all have a voice in 2020.